So this is the area I decided to potentially mount the camera. We'll see how it turns out here. Hopefully we can see everything we need to with it. We'll just go ahead and mark that there. It's a solid tube there on that part. So I'm going to put a hole here. I can always go back. If I decide I didn't want it here, I could plug weld that. I could just put one of those push pins in there. I could tap it, put a bolt there, however we want to do it. And I think for now, I don't have a screw right now that's wide enough, so I'm going to use one of these push pins. Push it and lock it. I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to clean it, and we're going to put it like that. See what that looks like, and we can tie the wire up in between the bumper cover and the receiver. Run all our wire behind here all the way over to our tail light and our reverse switch, and we can just put all our wires inside there and seal them up and make them weatherproof. And then that way we haven't opened up anything to inside the vehicle. And I think with the antenna in that location, it'll be just fine. So this is going to be our rear camera installation point. You see it's next to my hitch. It's out of the way. I haven't zip tied the wire up yet, but that's going to run to here. This wire coming out, and then we will hook up the other part from the reverse switch next. Okay, so back to the reverse light. We're just going to go ahead and cut it. Just going to jump right in and do it and not be afraid. But we are going to test the power and ground with a voltmeter. Just make sure we're on the right track. And then we should be, and as long as that works, then we will be able to go from there. Okay, so we're going to verify our power and ground for the reverse light. And the nice thing about this is you can just use your key fob and unlock the door. The lights come on. You can see there I have 11.14 volts. So that's what powers my reverse light. So that's going to be my power source, and this common ground here that lights these other lights. And that will make it where that's the proper tie-in for the reverse. So the next thing I want to do is take this wire for the backup camera, and then I'm going to go ahead and give a little more wire like so. We're going to put these in line with those. We're going to use the heat shrink butt connector, and then we'll heat it up and weatherproof it, and I'll show you that. So you can see the process here. Put the butt connector there. Rotate your butt connector so you don't trip it the same direction on both sides. And I find it easier just to hold it with your crimpers. Put your other wire in. Try to over squeeze it if you have a good tool. And then there's your connection. I just have this little benzo torch And then the idea is to keep these shrink wrap style or heat shrink style butt connectors, like so. And then when they're kind of glossy and see-through, if you go too long, you will burn it. I'm not gonna burn it. And that'll give you a nice leather tight seal. Be careful with the other wires in there. And I take those and just kind of hold them together and let them cool that way. Careful, those get a little bit hot. But then the wires will cool together like that. So now the green wire is your power. It's just going through this butt connector and we're splicing in with this 12-volt wire. We'll do the same with the ground, and then now our camera will have its supply voltage only when it goes in reverse. And that's the majority of that job. And we're doing the same thing to the ground. Push your wire, prepare your crimper, 180 degrees difference of your crimp. Put your wire in, give it a squeeze. And then the same process, heat your wire end up so it's nice and weather sealed. Even we live in a harsher climate here, but in any climate, it's just good to keep water intrusion out of all your wiring, keep from getting corroded. Just makes it last longer. And this is just my preferred method over a Scotch lock. You'll find it's just a stronger connection. It's just going to last longer. And the same thing, just kind of let it cool with the wires there. Careful, it's hot. And then you can test everything again. And now my reverse light's on. And all my other lights dim out. That's just from using your fob to unlock it. It's an easy way to do it. So now we'll get this wrapped up. We'll put the tail light back together and we'll show how that hooks up. Okay, so now we have our lights plugged back in. This wire is still loose in here. I'm going to zip tie this together, kind of fold this up neatly in there. And then I had an idea, since this is now powered and it's the antenna, if you can see that, I'm going to actually run that up this pillar. I'm going to zip tie it through these louvers that are here to hold it in place, and that's going to put my antenna point up high, in the hopes is that it gets a better connection from the front camera to the back and picks up the antenna. So it says you can put it anywhere. I did briefly read the directions. I haven't read them all yet, but it just makes sense that you could put that somewhere higher. We can only go as high as the camera wire allows us to, so it might have to be a little bit lower in here somewhere. But we're going to try a few different locations and see what does best for it. But that is what the antenna does, is it sends the signal to the front. The front just is a plug into an AC adapter, and then it just plugs right into your camera that you mount on your dash. So we will try a few different variations and see how that turns out and see what gets our best signal. So I did run that up. I put the wire up through here. I just did a zip tie through this louver. You won't be able to see it. It's black zip tie and it's right by your shock. And then we'll just tie this up neat in here, put it together, and it just gives us a little higher point for the antenna. And then we'll test it when we're all done. So that's kind of my finished wiring for that. You see, I just kind of zip tied it in place there. Pull our plastic back. We are putting a new tail light in as well. Tail light kind of caused all these things to happen at once here. pushes in. Find your screws. Hopefully you haven't lost those. So far I haven't. Just make sure everything's together. And then now we have a taillight again. We'll check the function of it using our key fob. All the lights work. First light comes on. Now our camera should be powered up when that reverse is on. So we'll get the back end all cleaned up here, and we'll go to the front and mount the camera and see if it works. Okay guys, so the last part is simply just using the suction cup in the screen and then plugging in the 12-volt accessory. I'm going to run the wires here behind the panel, so you'll just see a small portion of wire right there, and that'll be it. And then same thing, I'm going to tuck all that inside. I'm going to spare you that for now, but with the antenna where we put it and all that, you can put your vehicle in reverse, or in this case the reverse light comes on when you hit your unlock button. We'll see if it comes on. Yep. So you can see it's got a perfect view behind. We can adjust that so the lower position worked. The antenna's working. You can also start the car up. Put it in reverse. And there you go. Now you have a reverse camera. And that's how it works.